It's what you require. Come back to life, come back to life, come back to life, come back to life. I miss you so. Girl, I miss you. I miss you so. You know I need you. Come back to life, come back to life, come back to life, come back to life. I miss you so. I miss you so. I just want you to know I'll never turn my back on you, and so I want your love. I want it, want it, want it. I want your love. I need it, need it, need it. I just can't let you go. These feelings you give me, but you'll never know. Only you know. If only you know.
Yeah. Now you feel what's in my heart. Boneless means a new fresh start. Still got love in our existence, but you asking what's the difference? With no skin, with no chest, the rebirth will just get what's best. A new life, a new part, a new solo in the play. Another chance to take today, a new name, chance and fame. Really it is all the same. We are light, one of many. Hopeless, it seems silly. 3D thought don't get too picky. It's just natural, that's the battle. We all struggle, we still love you.
Come back to life, come back to life, come back to life, come back to life. I miss you so. Girl, I miss you. I miss you so. You know I need you. Come back to life, come back to life, come back to life, come back to life. I miss you so. Come back to me. I miss you so. Girl, be with me. I just want you to know I'll never turn my back on you, and so I want your love. I want it, want it, want it. I want your love. I need it, need it, need it. I just can't let you go. These feelings you give me, but you'll never know. Only you know. If only you know. You know it, you know it, you know it, you know it.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages from all across the world. My name is Chandler Crump, and you are now tuned back in to the Chandler Brief with yours truly, Chandler Crump for Life, here on YouTube and Rumble and Facebook and a few other platforms, as we do every week on Mondays and Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern for the Chandler Brief, and of course Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. in the evening for Crump Live. We did not stream yesterday as I needed a little bit of a break, but I promised you guys we'd be back and better than ever today, live, right now, for the Chandler Brief. And as promised, I try to keep as many promises as I can. We are back here live with a whole lot more news for all you guys. So without any further ado, let's just hop right into it. You guys are probably clicking into the stream wondering what in the world is happening to Waffle House. Somebody in the comments is like, Waffle House, I love that place since the 70s. And I hope I'm not sending the wrong idea. I don't want to make anybody think that Waffle House is going to collapse or anything. No. It's more so the world that may collapse before Waffle House does. See, in the South, and I'm gonna preface the story a little bit by saying, I don't think Waffle House is all over the country. I think it's mostly in the Southeast. I know they have a lot of locations, but in the South, we kind of judge how terrible something is based on if the Waffle Houses are going to close. So if there's a big storm coming through, but the Waffle Houses are still open, you'll generally be pretty alright. Maybe want to throw a couple boards on the windows and not drive or anything, stock up on some water, but you'll be fine. In the pandemic, Waffle Houses in the Southeast closed. So that kind of told a lot of people in the South and the Southeast that maybe we should hunker down a bit more. Waffle Houses in Florida just closed. Waffle Houses closes for Hurricane Ian as Florida faces worst case scenario. So I think that should really put a real emphasis on how dire things are starting to become in Florida right now as we dig a bit more into this. As you guys know, the Waffle House Index never lies. If Waffle Houses are closing, you need to be closing too. So let's jump into this. A Waffle House in Punta Gorda, Florida has closed as a preventative measure as the community braces for the impacts of Hurricane Ian. The most recent Hurricane Ian update from the National Hurricane Center shows the Category 3 storm continues to strengthen before its expected landfall on Florida's west coast on Wednesday. This article is actually behind. The storm is now a Category 4, and it's only a Category 4 by 2 miles an hour. See, if it was actually 2 miles an hour wind speeds faster, it would be a Category 5. So, yeah, Waffle Houses are closed. Pictures of the closed Waffle House that is located at 1228 Tamiyami Trail has begun circulating on social media ahead of the storm. On Tuesday, NBC2's meteorologist Justin Hobbs tweeted a photo of the restaurant with its shutters. No, with the shutters down? Hold on. Yo, oh my goodness. Ay, caramba. Yeah, Scott Easton says, no, not Waffle House, great pancakes. I have actually never had a pancake from Waffle House. I kind of thought that was against the law, funnily enough. But no, this is serious right here. Y'all, at Waffle House is closed. This is not a drill. This is an actual credentialed meteorologist. Like I said, I don't really know if there's like a whole meteorology school, but it says award-winning meteorologist. So I put a good amount of trust in that. So if an award-winning meteorologist is putting some weight behind the Waffle House scale, then clearly this is not a drill. If you are in this area, you need to get out of Dodge. Now, in fact, that's what we said on our locals post announcing the stream. I'll pull it back up here on my side just to have it ready. But I was saying, this is not a drill. You need to get out of Dodge. But let's dig a bit more into this. It comes from Waffle House's reputation for being well prepared for disasters and either remaining open during weather or reopening shortly afterward. Craig Fugate, who is the then FEMA administrator, coined the term shortly after the Joplin tornado of 2011. The massive tornado devastated the town and caused $2.8 billion worth of damage. It killed 158 and injured 1,100 others. Both of the Waffle Houses, however, remained open. The index is normally broken down into 3 color-coded levels that are based on the amount of service that the restaurant can provide before or after a bad storm. Green means the full menu the restaurant expects to or has sustained little to no damage and has full power. Yellow means there's a limited menu and the restaurant may be or is running out of food or has limited power, but red means the Waffle House is closed due to preventing severe flooding or damage. Newsweek has contacted the Waffle House for comment, but here we go. So is this... Okay, so that's just catastrophic flooding. I thought this was like a Waffle House meter there for a second. That would be funny. The last day one outlook from NWSPC highlights high risk of excessive rainfall across a large portion of the Central Florida Peninsula from Ian. Widespread, life-threatening, catastrophic flooding is expected across this portion of Florida. So there is the range right there. That pink range is crazy. That red range is still pretty wild. And that yellow range is, well, it's something. And then green is marginal. So that goes high, moderate, slight, and I guess that green is marginal right there. So there's the scale for you guys to really peek it out to how dangerous this can be. But we're going to dig a bit more into this, deeper than Waffle House, of course, because we actually have video and footage from the ground. That's a good one, AO26. He says, did Biden ever call DeSantis? Let me give that one a big fat...
Nope.
Because why would Biden talk to the governor of the state when he can just, ignore him due to politics and talk to various mayors and such anyways? Yeah, that's a real thing that happened. We're not going to pull that story up because we've got plenty to dig into already, but that was real. Ron DeSantis just gets straight up snubbed by the president because of political purposes. I don't think there was ever a time that Trump did anything like this. He would always call whoever he needed to call. And I'd say most presidents, even before Trump, Obama, both of the Bushes, Clinton, I'm sure when these types of things happened, it wasn't some political snubbing that happened. So, I don't know. This is all before I was around. So, hey, maybe you guys know a bit better than I do. Maybe something like this happened in the past. But here's rare first-person view of the storm surge. This camera is 6 feet off the ground in Estero Boulevard in Fort Myers Beach, Florida. Not sure how much longer it's going to keep working. You'll only see it live on the Weather Channel. But here we've got some footage of it now to show you. This literally looks like it's in the middle of the ocean. This is the storm surge, so the ocean is, I guess, technically become the land. It's just come on up, and it's taking control here, escalating above the 6-foot profile of this camera. It's getting bad. And this is what a street view idea of what it usually looks like here. And if you pay close attention, this is a building that I assume is next to the ocean here. That might be the shoreline back there. I can't quite identify this, although I think I've been around here before. But you can actually see the same flag and building at this camera location. That's bad. That's bad. Any vehicles that were there, I doubt there were any still there. I'm pretty sure people knew to get their cars out of there, but they are flooded, and the street is gone, and the building now will be waterlogged. So clearly there's something crazy happening here. But we've got to dig even deeper into this. Someone says, I was just there this spring, loved it. I really could see my home there. Cape Coral and Fort Myers are beautiful. We have enough people here, thank you. Floridians that we rebuild. Okay, whatever. But still, insane stuff coming out from here. But of course, you got to throw it back to when Biden said the best defense against a hurricane is to get vaccinated. Yeah, hear this.
Let me be clear. If you're in a state where hurricanes often strike, like Florida or the Gulf Coast or into Texas, a vital part of preparing for hurricane season is to get vaccinated now. Everything is more complicated if you're not vaccinated in a hurricane.
What are we talking about?
Am I the only one that doesn't understand how getting vaccinated, as Biden would whisper in your ear to say, how is that going to help in a hurricane? I mean, I guess you could argue, well, you're going to be spending a significant amount of time around family. But you kind of already are. You're all stuffed in a house together normally, and nothing really seems to be that bad. So how is the rain and the wind going to be... when you get vaccinated, is there like some sort of cool bubble shield that appears around you? A personal-sized shield? I don't know. I do know if we have any 12-year-olds, I sure hope they get vaccinated so they have that personal shield against Biden, because
She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
told you guys we'd be playing that clip, and dang it, Biden, you're really giving me all the ammunition to say this. But of course, this is a months-old clip right here. It's not really saying all that much. What's actually happening now? Well, of course, people are going to talk about hurricane season and be like, well, obviously it's climate change and people are dying because they're not vaccinated, but climate change. So Don Lemon, who recently lost his prime time spot, and I guess, is he already on his morning show? What time? This was taken at 7 p.m., so maybe he still has his prime time show for a little bit. I'm looking at the time slot down here. 7 p.m. Pacific time, so 10 p.m. Eastern. Maybe he's just on some emergency thing. I don't know how CNN works. I know they're doing something crazy over there, but Don Lemon recently out, but he's still doing a couple of things. He tried to blame Hurricane Ian on climate change. The NOAA hurricane director then turned around and clowned him for it. Clowned him. You got to see this.
Can you tell us what this is and what effect climate change has on this phenomenon?
Well, we can come back and talk about climate change at a later time. I want to focus on the here and now. We think the rapid intensification is probably almost done. There could be a little bit more intensification as it's still over the warm waters of the eastern Gulf of Mexico.
Don Lemon does not like that answer. I'm willing to bet in a second he is about to ignore what he said, say we're going to talk about climate change later, and say, well, what do you think? What do you feel? I guarantee he's going to say one of those two sentences. You guys ready? I think we're ready for my prediction to come true.
Mexico, but I don't think we're going to get any more rapid intensification. If you look here, you can actually see, pretty interesting for your viewers, you can actually see a second eye wall forming around the inner eye wall, and that's basically the second eye wall has overtaken the original eye wall, and that should arrest development.
Here we go.
So listen, I'm just trying to get that. You said you want to talk about climate change, but what effect does climate change have on this phenomenon that is happening now? Because
I swear, I can just read these people. I know how these TV show, talk show hosts, journalists work, because dang it, I might as well be one of them. But I'm a whole lot better than Don Lemon, because I know when somebody who clearly knows a whole lot more about weather and, dare I say, climate than me, I'm not going to be like, well, come on, just give it to me straight, champ. It's climate change, isn't it? No, I'm going to sit there and be like, okay, fine. Assuming I was coming from where Don Lemon is coming from, and that will never be me. But assuming I'm just sitting there being like, okay, I asked him a question about climate change. He didn't want to answer it. Let's move on. So tell me a bit more about the second eye wall, huh? Is it more dangerous? Does that prove that this is actually getting stronger? Is that hurricane inching closer and closer to Category 5 status? And what do you think could happen if that second eye wall goes on through and this hurricane barrels through Florida? What is your damage estimate? That's a good question. It's a hard question. It's a very broad question, but assuming I'm off my rocker, you gave me the climate change boot, and I've got to come up with something brand new to talk about, that's what I'm going to do. Not try and ask the exact same question again. That is what dishonest talk show hosts do when they want to get a specific answer that will fit their agenda. Sadly, agenda is a lot more important than informing the American people, even when their lives are at stake during a very strong and very dangerous hurricane. Let's listen.
it seems these storms are intensifying. That's
there you
the
go.
question.
I don't think you can link climate change to any one event.
That was diabolical.
This instantaneous takedown, gone. Just one sentence said, I don't think climate change has anything to do with it. Just out of the park. Just home run, out. Let's hear that again.
phenomenon that is happening now? Because it seems these storms are intensifying. That's the question here.
I don't think you can link climate change to any one event.
Okay.
Just look at Don Lemon's face. He does not look happy. He looks like that's not the answer I wanted, man. That's just not what I wanted. I wanted something a little bit better, and you're wait, it gets worse. You're making it worse for me. You're making it worse. How am I supposed to get everybody all scared of climate change if you're not giving me the answer I want? If you're not going to be like, if you're not going to be like Bill Nye and say, our planet is on fire and everything is falling apart. He's just, he's giving level-headed meteorological advice and being like, listen, I don't think climate change has anything to do with this. The waters are warm. The winds are high. This is what happens when hurricanes come on along. The waters are warm. The wind is high. Everything else you need for a hurricane, right there in the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic Ocean, whatever you need, and it comes on along. That's how these things work.
On the whole, on the cumulative, climate change may be making storms worse, but to link it to any one event, I would caution against that.
Okay, well, listen, I grew up there, and these storms are intensifying. Something is causing them to intensify.
So not only does he ignore what the meteorologist is saying, he goes on an anecdotal rant. He says, well, I grew up there, and clearly the hurricanes are getting worse. I mean, I grew up in Florida, so obviously I know everything about there is to know about hurricanes. I mean, I'm the expert here. In fact, you should be interviewing me and asking me the questions, clearly. At least I'm sure that's what Don Lemon thinks in his mind. But frankly, I don't think he's been back to Florida in a while. Or if he has not truly grasped things even as slightly as well as this guy has. Seriously. But that really does lead me down to our next subject we're going to be jumping through, which is these climate scientists and these climate activists that say they know a whole lot more than they actually do, and more often than not get embarrassed. We posted this video to our locals community just yesterday because it was so very hilarious. It is a teenaged climate activist, just 2 years younger than me. I believe she's 16 or so, either turned this year or is turning 17 this year. Either way, she's just about my age. Clearly, I assume a Brit or Australian based off the accent, and she was calling into this, this radio station. I've called into a few radio stations before. When you call into a radio station, let me just give her some advice from one Gen Z teen activist commentator to another. Even if you're pro climate change, or maybe even you're liberal or something, try not to dissuade your own argument. Try not to do that. If someone asks, even if you gotta, dang it, you gotta either live by the code or be ready to lie to live by the code. Okay, you guys need to hear what this girl says. She was asked if she had been on a plane, because she was decrying plane flight and the greenhouse gases and everything, and you can't do it. No more planes. The radio show host, who I'm sure had this ace up her sleeve before the interview even happened, asked her a very important question, and you will not believe how well this answer went. You won't believe it. Let's watch.
For example,
so we would have to apply to have approved events to be able to fly for.
Well, that's one thing that you could look at doing.
Am I allowed to go to Fiji? Is that necessary?
In the current climate crisis, I don't think that that's necessary.
When was the last time you were on a plane?
I'm not sure. Maybe a few months ago, to be honest.
Where'd you go?
Fiji.
Oh, no. No.
Wait, it gets worse.
That's just sad. That's just sad. Not only did the radio show host specifically mention Fiji as an example of somewhere that people would want to go and they'd have to take a plane to get there, or maybe a 3-week boat ride, but I don't think anybody can afford that nor wants to do it. So yeah, easy plane flight, few hours. Whole lot of scary greenhouse gases though, of course, it's not a great thing. Radio show host asks, young Izzy Cook, where'd you go when you went on the plane a few months ago? Just a few seconds. Drum roll, please. Fiji. Let's hear it.
Izzy! Izzy! Don't you care about the climate, Izzy?
Of course I care about the climate.
Not enough. You went to... You went to Fiji. Izzy, come on, mate. Are you serious?
Dang it. No.
Are you serious, Izzy?
Well, it's pretty
Are you still
ironic.
there?
It is pretty ironic, but to be honest, it's not really a trip that I wanted to go on, but I can't really get out of it because my
Why'd you
parents wanted to
go? Why'd you go?
My parents wanted to go. I
Izzy!
didn't want to go.
How are you embarrassed that your parents did that to the planet and then forced you to do it as well?
The poor
Of course
planet.
I'm not embarrassed.
Did you have a
you look at
terrible
this-
time?
Not really.
And there it is right there. There it is right there. The atom bomb, for lack of a more climate safe term, to the entire climate change argument. There it is right there. Climate activists taking flights to Fiji. I think we had Greta Thunberg taking flights all across to get to every single one of her speeches where she would then decry plane flight. AOC? Let's not even talk about how many flights she's had to take, how many convoys she's had to ride in her SUVs for her congressional appearances. Even Biden, Gavin Newsom. Oh, Gavin Newsom. Let's not start with him. His state recently banned gas cars, the sale of them by 2030. What is he still probably going to be riding around in by that time? Them gas SUVs. I don't know, folks. I don't know. It seems like people are really starting to be against the very thing that they have to go along by. So, to Izzy Cook, the climate activist from wherever she's from, Australia or Great Britain, nice young lady. I'm sure. I hope she grows up and learns a bit more. But I guess she could say the exact same thing to me. We have differing opinions. That's just the way things are gonna be. Or Don Lemon. I sure hope they they stop trying to push this madness because it's not getting them anywhere. It really isn't. Let's see here. Kay Pitchin says, "Hey Chandler and mods, I trust you're all keeping safe. The radio show host and the young lady have an Aussie Australian accent. Thank you. I thought so, but sometimes I can get them. They're easy to mix up. But yeah, I thought they were Australian. And hey, we've got a few Australians here on the channel too. We got our dad down under Dare Dad or Australia Day every day. I think we have one other guy too as well. And yeah, hey Izzy, if you ever need some lessons, I'm here. It'll be a nice long plane flight to Atlanta for you, but I'm sure it's nothing out of the ordinary. All right, we've got a few more subjects to jump into, so let's not dilly-dally too much longer. Somebody in the chat brought up something that we needed to bring up. We just have to, and it is yet another Biden blunder. I mean, he said things as crazy as,
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. Chocolate, chocolate chip.
or things like,
Rub my leg down, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
and let's not forget the newest addition to the Biden saying soundboard file.
She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
Hey, every time I play those, I can really hear him in my head, reminding me,
And you ain't black.
kind of funny, isn't it? Well, today he had a hilarious, but also kind of macabre blunder. Very, very sad. He was at a hunger, nutrition, and health conference type of thing, talking about, I guess, school lunches or something. I don't know. Anyways, he was talking about the bipartisan effort that comes along with one of these things, and unfortunately brought up one of the members of this commission who sadly passed away within the last couple of months, but apparently he hadn't quite gotten the memo yet. He said, "Representative Jackie, are you here? Where is Jackie? She must not be here," in reference to Jackie Walorski, who was a House representative that was recently killed in a car accident in August, along with 2 of her aides just last month. Let's hear him call out to someone who is no longer with us.
And so many of you know so much about this as well, and you're committed. And I want to thank all of you here for including bipartisan elected officials like Representative Governor, Senator Braun, Senator Booker, Representative Jackie. Are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
Man, I don't think Biden could be talking any quieter during this. Is there any louder video? That's really annoying. I don't like that sometimes the videos are just that quiet. It wasn't quiet when I was playing it earlier. Well, still, he was looking for Representative Jackie, who no longer exists right now. Kind of sad. He's not really caught up with the news. So obviously, some people had to turn around and ask Biden, ask, because they never actually asked Biden, why are you talking to dead people? But, of course, we had to ask Corinne Jean-Pierre, what happened when Biden said, "Where is Jackie Walorski?" Her answer will, I would say, shock you, but it really won't. Let's hear it.
Final one. What happened in the hunger event today? The president appeared to look around the room for an audience member, a member of Congress who passed away last month. He seemed to indicate she might be in the room. What happened there?
So the president was, as you all know,
She's
you guys
ready
were
for it.
watching today's event, a very important event on food insecurity. The president was naming the congressional champions on this issue and was acknowledging her incredible work. He had already planned to welcome the Congresswoman's family to the White House on Friday. There will be a bill signing in her honor this coming Friday. So, of course, she was on his mind. She was of top of mind for the president. He very much looks forward to discussing her remarkable legacy of public service with them when he sees her family this coming Friday.
He said, Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? She must not be here.
No, I totally understand. I just explained she was on top of mind.
How do you know what's on Biden's mind, eh? Are you a mind reader? Because if I had to take a crack at what it was on his mind, since apparently that's exactly what we're doing now, we don't actually know, so she's just guessing, well, she was at the top of the mind. I would guess that Joe Biden can't really process the difference between alive and dead right now. He would just as quickly ask where Jackie is as he would ask where his great friend Robert Byrd is from the KKK, whose funeral he spoke at, if I'm not mistaken. It was either him or a different Klansman, Imperial Wizard or something. I believe it was Robert Byrd whose funeral Joe Biden so eloquently eulogized at. I don't know. So I guess we're just taking a gander at these things, and Biden, either he didn't know or he doesn't quite understand the difference anymore at this point. St. June says, I'm speechless. Well, he's back and forth between here and the netherworld. You're wrong for that, St. June. You're so wrong for that, but also so very right. So very right. He doesn't understand these things, and Karine Jean-Pierre just has to do her very, very best to keep her job for another couple of months before she gets some sort of pension or something. I don't know.
This wasn't what we were able to witness today, and what the president was able to lift up in this at this conference, at this event, was how her focus on wanting to.
She's still stumbling. The video doesn't even have all of it, and I frankly don't really care to hear the rest of it, because honestly, oh, there is the rest of it. I don't want to hear it. Should we hear it? We should hear it. Dang it.
The family was expected to be here, and that's what he was thinking about. Why was he looking for? I'm not trying to be.
It's a different question.
And I'm.
Between what you were saying and what he said there.
And again, I think people can understand. I think the American people out there who, watch the briefing from time to time, maybe at this moment, will understand when someone is at top of mind.
Top of mind.
And this was such an important event when we're talking about hunger, when we're talking about food
and she's gonna distract from it by talking about how important the event is, and probably trying to argue that, well, they were obviously she was top of mind, and that's the accepted phrase that's going around right now. She was top of mind. That's the greatest way to explain why Biden is calling out to the dearly departed. Obviously. We got St. June in the building, AO26. Garcon said something that had me cracking up a minute ago. He said, can still hear him say, we put together the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. Oh my goodness. Oh my. So very true. So very true. That's what Joe Biden did, and that's what Joe Biden do. It is. Gius is more like out of sight and out of mind. I don't know. I think he's out of sight and out of mind because he can't see and he can't think. He can't see where to go off the stage anymore, and don't blame it on the bright lights or anything like that. These are very small, intimate events with a stage about the size of my office here. So it's just left to right. And you know where you're going, you know where you came from, simple memory. People try to compare it to Trump. Sometimes he didn't know where to get off the stage. But you gotta remember, Trump was in a stage probably the size of my house. The size of at least this side of the house I'm in. And it was pretty big. And the stadium itself? Massive places, sometimes football stadiums, sometimes entire airfields during the pandemic and after that. Major, massive places, rallies, the biggest and likes we have never seen before in American politics. So clearly, these are going to have convoluted setups. You're going to have to follow the lines. And he made it off the stage every time. Joe Biden, however, he spends a while, his hand out, looking around. The Easter Bunny has to come out from behind the scenes, hop her way on over, say, this way, Biden, this way. We have Cadbury eggs for you in the back. He says, oh, what, Cadbury eggs? Does that mean
chocolate chip?
Just for me? And he walks on out, hoping that his eye doesn't start bloodshotting or whatever. You guys remember when that happened? His eye literally had a burst vessel in it. That was scary to say the least. The leader of the free world, huh? So very capable and healthy and strong. So very healthy. Deanna says, you know, it's bad when Waffle House closes. Waffle House kept us alive after Andrew, and yep, we're on a code red right now. We saw the 3 levels of the Waffle House index. It is code green, fully operational, no issues. Code yellow, which means there's a few things missing, and they're keeping things a bit more careful. And code red, when everything is closed. So definitely important to keep an eye out when this hurricane on the way. Got to be safe. Gotta be safe. Shout out to the folks we have tuning in over on Rumble. We got Shay J in the chat who says, so glad you are on Rumble. Despite needing some UI work, I like it here better than YouTube. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more updates coming very, very soon, but shout out to all the folks we have watching us over on Rumble. Rumble is really going up right now. They just got publicly listed on the stock exchange, something like that. So you can now publicly trade $RUM. As in Rumble. So guys, I'm telling you, become a partial owner of Rumble, a stakeholder, a stockholder, all that stuff. All that stuff, and join us over on Rumble to become immune to censorship immediately, and also keep an eye on everything we've got coming, including all of our political streams and our exclusive Rumble gaming streams, of which we'll be doing one tonight as well at 8 p.m. going all the way until 11 or midnight or so. It's going to be a very long and fun night, so if you guys want to join us, hang out later on tonight, make sure you tune in. We'll be playing some Splatoon with the Geeks and Gamers. It's just going to be very, very fun. It's more of a relaxed side of me, not really ranting about politics as much, although sometimes if you guys bring it up in the comments, I will do a little bit of touching, especially on something that comes up. So check it out. All sorts of cool stuff coming very, very soon over there. Also, be sure you check out our locals community. I'll show these on screen for you guys as well, just because I think they're that important. Here's my Rumble channel. We just started it actually last month. We had an old Rumble channel, and we're migrating to this new one with all of our stuff, and we are now already at 543 subscribers. Can we get a round of applause? So very proud. So thank you guys so much for subscribing, and to the people that have done it during the stream, I felt you guys. It actually rumbles my phone every time you do it. So subscribe, and I'll give you guys a shout out each time I get the notification of it happening. So subscribe over there and check it out. Also be sure, once you're over there, to hit this little button right here and support our locals community by joining it. You can give once, and if you use promo code CRUMP, that is code Crump, it will then instantaneously give you 2 whole months absolutely for free. You put in all your information and you'll be all set and settled to go to watch all of our live streams after they happen, as well as gain access to all of our exclusive content hosted on our locals channel right here, including our live chats, notifications about when I'm not going to be streaming like I did last night, and also that video I posted before, because this video has been out for a while now, just a couple of days, and I had to share it. It was so hilarious, but whole lot more stuff coming very, very soon for our locals people. Make sure you checked in over there for all of that buttery, delicious goodness. But we've got a couple more stories to jump into here. I don't know why I called it buttery goodness, but I feel like that was pretty accurate. We've got more stuff to jump into, so let's get into this next one right here. New York City Mayor Eric Adams had some things to say, talking about New York City's personality, character, and charm. The brand of New York City. But he couldn't do this by just saying how great New York City is. You know, the city's so nice they named it twice. He had to disparage the state of Kansas in the midst of doing all this. We've got something funny to show after we watch this. He says, New York has a brand, and when people see it, it means something. Kansas doesn't have a brand. Really?
We have a brand. New York has a brand. And when people see it, it means something. You know, when we go there, it's not, Kansas doesn't have a brand.
What the heck? How is he laughing without smiling? What? Okay, I haven't heard many speeches from Eric Adams, honestly. I really haven't. I felt he was maybe a slight improvement on de Blasio. But this guy, he's kind of weirding me out. He's like... Man, I'm gonna throw. Hold on. I gotta make this funny for y'all. Hold on. We had to grab the sunglasses real quick. He's sitting there, and he's just like. Is that just me, or is that really, really weird? I don't know. I wanted to focus in on that for a second because I was slightly uncomfortable with how that sounded. Let's just
have a brand. When you go there, okay, you're from Kansas. No. Well, you know what? But New York has a brand.
I don't know. I've met a few people from Kansas, and I'd say they do have a pretty good brand. It's something that Democrat governors like Gavin Newsom, or mayors like Eric Adams, or even presidents like Joe Biden, or presidential hopefuls like Hillary Clinton would refer to as flyover states. But what they really are is the actual spine of this dang nation. I guarantee you, if we snapped our fingers in states like Kansas or Iowa or Wyoming or Missouri, places they regard as flyover states, suddenly vanished, you'd have a whole lot less ribs and burgers and bread, or I don't know, what are the things they like in DC? Quinoa and I don't know, some other random stuff that they drink and eat and doesn't even look like it's built for humans, but they eat it and it's supposedly healthy. All that stuff comes from the breadbasket of this country or goes through it. 'Cause truckers, trains, all that stuff has to go through Kansas, through these various flyover states. They don't just magically teleport from Peru or China. They got to make their way through the ocean, get on a truck, sometimes starting in California, being driven across the country, sometimes thrown on a train route all the way from I've driven cross country with my family before for events and such. I'm very blessed that we were able to do that. It's not an easy thing. Not everybody can do that. But I have seen the middle of this country. I have seen those train tracks with actual trains with freight on them going miles long trains going from east to west, west to east, all sorts of freight stacked 2 layers high, going miles long. That is how you get your iPhones and your computers and your bread and your burgers and everything. They are made sometimes here in America, or they are shipped right through our country, brought to your doorstep or to your grocery store. And yet you want to claim and sit there and laugh with your sunglasses on that also were shipped through Kansas and other states and go, you don't have a brand, and argue that Kansas doesn't have the character that New York does? Well, let's take a good look at the character that Kansas doesn't have and the character that New York does have. Gunman fires 2 pistols from the back of moped in Bronx in a wild video. This guy's pulling up like Call of Duty akimbo. 2 guns. Back to back to back. Come on now. And no, I'm keeping the sunglasses on. We're riding the stream out like this. Ted Cruz says, Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. Carbon copy, Eric Adams, New York. This is the brand that New York has. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Every place has crime. And I can tell you, New York has some good soul. I've been to New York as well. Like I said, I've been very blessed by my family and what we have been able to do. I'm very happy that the American dream and the American brand has spread to somebody like me. And so I've been able to absorb all of it. But at the very least, I can say, even though I love Georgia, I love Florida, I'd say the Georgia, Florida, Texas brand is a whole lot better than a lot of these other states. I can say every state provides its own value and its own beauty to this country. So you could say, well, Kansas doesn't have a brand or something like that, but just remember who you're talking to and what they do for you. Eric Adams. All right, let's move on. We've got one last story to jump into right there, but y'all in the chat are tearing it down. St. June says he thinks he's a celebrity. Yeah, that's Eric Adams for you. I mean, being the mayor of New York does have its own celebrity to it, but come on, y'all. We got people in the Rumble comments as well. My Lifestyle says, lol. Playersome says, do a try not to laugh challenge, lol. I don't know if I could do it, man. Laughter is kind of like another part of speaking for me. It's part of the language. Laughter is how you connect, so I don't know. Hip Hop Thinker says, The Wizard of Oz, there's no place like home. St. June says, New York's libtard brand is pretty amazing. Yeah, and this is coming from St. June, who lives in New York. I don't know if he lives in the actual city or not, God forbid. But hopefully you're very safe, St. June. He knows the brand. I've been to Kansas. I've been through Kansas. I've been to a lot of these places. They're great. They're beautiful. Kansas ain't all just flat land and cattle and horses and such. They got cities too. They do a whole lot of production in Kansas. You don't even know. It's a great place. So, all in all, I had to touch on that briefly before moving on to this last story, which is some breaking news coming from our good friend LOT, aka Libs of TikTok. She has had her Twitter account suspended again. They won't stop. Twitter has suspended me again for hateful conduct. Once again, I've received a wrongful 7-day suspension as the result of a targeted harassment campaign from the left to deplatform me. In response, we sent another letter to Twitter, putting them on notice that we will sue if they permanently suspend my account. Twitter claims I have violated their hateful conduct policy, but like my last suspension, they have provided no explanation as to how I violated it. Was it hateful to expose an all-ages drag show where a adult performer performed in front of children? Was it hateful to expose a drag queen who allowed a small child to repeatedly rub them? Was it hateful to expose Dr. Catherine Gass for openly stating that she will operate on minors for gender-affirming surgery? The truth is, I haven't engaged in hateful conduct. I've just exposed the left's depravity by reporting the facts. There is no rule against that. So they have to make up violations I have never committed. But I'm not taking it lying down. I have vowed to sue Twitter if they permanently suspend me, and I mean it. However, a lawsuit against Twitter will be extremely expensive. Twitter will fight back, litigation will draw on for months or even years, so I've started an LOT, Legal Defense Fund, where you can send a tax-deductible donation to help cover the legal fees associated with fighting back against not only big tech, but every single media outlet that has lied about me to try and get me deplatformed. That fight has already begun, and legal bills are piling up. Whatever you can chip in, even if it's just a few bucks, will go directly into the fund, making this fight possible. It's time for us to get more wins under our belt and to let them know they can no longer demonize and silence anyone who dares to speak the truth. This is bigger than just me. This is about free speech. So, I'm going to throw this link in the comments, of course, because I think it's a very important thing to keep an eye out for. There are many people that have been absolutely destroyed by the media, destroyed by all these big tech platforms, including but not limited to LOT, but also great friend of the channel, Kyle Rittenhouse, who has went through so much. He has his own fund as well to fight back against these people legally, and I think that's the most important thing we can do. So I wanted to highlight this real quick to give you guys another avenue to support this important mission we have going on right now. But also to remind you guys, there are alternative options to these big tech networks. Like I mentioned a million times before, Rumble is a good place to start for video. Also, Parler, which is one of the classic choices for free speech. Make sure you check me out over there. My Parler profile is just at Chandler. I post a lot of stuff over there, including some exclusive things and some stuff early as well. All sorts of good things. So make sure you check me out just by going to Parler.com and looking up at Chandler. They have been announcing some really cool things lately. Parler's really trying to get back out there in the game after everything they've gone through. They are one of the only networks that has been censored just as well as actual people have. Parler and Rumble have been through so much, and I think they're going to persevere past everything these AWS, big tech companies try to do. So make sure you get in there and support these new places where you can say what you want to say, how you want to say it, and without anybody standing in the way of it. So big thank you to everybody who's been watching, who's checking out this new sources. Shout out to our current Hall of Heroes members, Zora B and Anonymous. Really huge shout out to them. Absolutely shattering records for the channel. Also the Hall of Champions right up there. We just have a few days left in September before our Hall of Heroes is wiped clean. We'll keep some of our Hall of Champions members, but if you want to join the Hall of Champions, we'll be resetting the entire right panel. So our people who are 50 and up are going to stay, but our right side panel, Anita, Matthew, My Lifestyle, Toonshi, a few of the people will sadly be erased, but we do have to move on to the next month. I really, really appreciate you guys so much for all the support. This was my 18th birthday month. I've now been 18. As of tonight, it will be, or sorry, I guess technically tomorrow, but I'll have been 18 for 2 weeks. Probably some of the best 2 weeks I've ever had, and then I'll count up to when I finally hit a month, and then after that, I'm just gonna let it ride. No more milestones or anything, but this is kind of big, you know? Becoming an adult, legally speaking, is a big step, so thank you guys so much for all the support, sticking by me through all this. We took a break from our stream yesterday, but we're back at it again today. We'll be back at it again tonight at 8 p.m. for a gaming stream over on the Rumble, going pretty much the rest of the night. So if you want to check that out, be sure to tune in anytime between 8 and about midnight. That is going to be very, very fun, so make sure you tune in for that. We'll be back again tomorrow at 8 for Crump Live on Thursday. As you guys know, we go live every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 for Crump Live, and Mondays and Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern for the Chandler Brief. So all those times are available for you right now. Make sure you set your reminders and all that so you never miss out on a show. We've got plenty more coming up very soon, so make sure once again you check out Rumble, Locals, Parler, everything I've given a huge shout out to. I really appreciate all those platforms for all of their support. Shay J says, drop the link in Rumble, please. I'll throw that up there for you real quick. Player Sim says, you have met Kyle? Yes, I did. I met him a few months back at this point. I might be able to find the picture, but I did meet him. It was a very good time. We went on the Chad Prather show over on the Blaze together, which was really fun. I'll drop the link for you guys over on Rumble right now so you can see that. It's right there. The link is still in the YouTube chat as well, so you can check all of that out as well. Corey says happy adult years. Thank you so much, Corey Chambers. And GU says look up child abuse laws, describes children exposed to adult situations as a violation. Sadly, Libs of TikTok shouting this out is not acceptable, but we're going to support them and their mission. Kyle Rittenhouse and his mission. Everybody that needs to support, we're going to get out there. We are a team and we're going to do this together. That is how we save America. Thank you guys so much for being tuned in. And aside from all that, I'll catch you next time, free thinkers. Don't forget to spread the virus of intelligence. Peace out, and I'll see you all later. Bye.
We'll